So here we're with game 2 between these Division 4 teams, guys. And again, we have a raiding party here in the red, yellow, and orange versus Trondo's Tartan tribesmen on the other team here. So it's Division 4, it's the lowest division. You could also write the player's nickname, exclamation mark rank, followed by the player's nickname in chat, and hopefully you'll get a hit of their current ELO and ranking. But we're seeing Lombardia for this one. I haven't done enough research as to know whose home map this is. So if any of the players could tell me in chat, would be good. But in any case, let's just dive into talk about the civs here again. We have Lithuanians in the, let's call it a pocket position here for Fingolfin. Played pocket the previous game as well. This is Trondo's home map. Cool. Good to know. So Lithuanians pocket, fantastic cavalry, and for that matter, monk civ. And you want to snag the relics as Lithuanians, because for each relic, up until 4 relics, you get +1 attack for your knight line. So you could have paladins with +4 extra attack in late game, which is pretty darn crazy against both buildings and most units. So that's Fingolfin in the pocket. On the right hand side, we have Yipip with the Bulgarians here. Okay, it's not your regular go-to archer's flank pick, and I think it makes sense on Lombardia as well, because it's just a very, very far distance to travel for archers. So we want more of a mobility, and Bulgarians are not to be underestimated as a mobile cavalry civ, although they are classified as infantry, because Bulgarians get a unique technology for their cavalry called stirrups, which has their cavalry attack 33% faster. So imagine you have one Bulgarian knight with stirrups attacking another full upgraded knight, then the Bulgarian would win simply because of attacking faster, and that's not a visible technology. So we'll have to follow left and right hand side a little bit here. And against 2 swordsmen, that's true. There's a unique tech for the Imperial Age for Bulgarians as well, which the militia line gains +5 armor. So I haven't seen that into play a lot, but obviously it's very strong against other melee units. It should be an easy win if you try to counter enemy halbs with your own 200 swordsmen, for example. And Bulgarians, they get these upgrades instantly anyway, so you don't need to research into 200 swordsmen as Bulgarians. Everything kicks in automatically. Now finally, left-hand side, Portuguese for on tilt 94. Now if anyone thinks that civilization picks are a bit off the book here, there's a rule in the tournament that says every civ and every home map is only allowed to be used 3 times total. So you don't necessarily see all of the typical civ picks all the time, because you'd have to save some better civs for against better opponents, right? So, but you shouldn't underestimate Portuguese, of course. Portuguese have cheaper gold units overall, 20% less gold for any unit. Thanks for the follow, Fingolfin. I appreciate it. And yeah, the unique unit, if you can get to it with Portuguese, the organ gun can just be crazy against large numbers of enemy units. So I'm looking forward to see what Portuguese bring to the table here. They have a very open blacksmith tech tree, could do a lot of different stuff, honestly. Also, after recent buff, the Portuguese have the blacksmith or all technology is researched 30% faster. So you have a much easier time to get to the upgrades as you go on. Alright, now over to the other team here. We have, on the right hand side, for John AMD, we have Slavs. Great infantry in the Imperial Age with Drushina tech, which will have your melee units, or infantry units, sorry, deal area damage. So if you have Slavs champions, they kind of damage adjacent units and not only the one they're attacking. That could be very huge if you go for a siege infantry push late on. Also useful for halberdiers against enemy cavalry and etc. And we have another strong infantry pick here for Trudeau with Goths here. I mean, Goths team bonus is barracks working 20% faster. So combined with Slavs, you'd have Slavs barracks working 20% faster. So you have the potential for Drushina infantry if you can get to the the upgrade, they will be massed even more quickly. So Goths in the Imperial Age have a unique tech as well, which has their barracks working 100% faster. And you'd be looking at endless military spam from the Goths barracks if that's the case. They also have a fantastic archer counter in the Huskarl. Their unique unit that has, when it's elite, has 8+2 pierce armor. It's just ridiculous and easy to mass. Finally, left-hand side for French over here is the Turks. Turks higher pierce armor on their scouts, light cav hussar, after the recent buff. And yeah, something that can come in handy against archers fire, but there aren't really a lot of archers civilizations in play here, so I don't think we'll be seeing mass archers this time around. Look at these walls, says Yipip. Yeah, for Lombardia, you have an easier time team walling with your teammates because you spawn off so close. You could communicate wall between the wood lines, and opening scouts just won't have any effect usually. This could be chopped down and palisaded through though by a villager. Full walls, no balls. I could not agree more. I hate these swallow boys. They can go and play arena instead. But good team walls indeed. Good team communication here to get them map. And yeah, from the looks of it, no holes, which is good. Let's look to the other side. Left side about to be full walled here for raiding party as well. Barracks going up, still not walled here, but otherwise, yeah, getting there, I'd say. So raiding party not stressing the walls here or there. So raiding party might be raided there. Let's see what happens. Stone walls. All right. We want to play it safer. And a fun thing, if John AMD commits to stonewalls the whole way here, he could also stonewall in for the Goths player here. So that Goths would have an easier time getting up through the ages. And... oh. Alright. We have a sling play, guys. So we're slinging Goths. It's going to be a pretty ridiculous cast stage here for Goths, going up at 24 population, receiving sling obviously to get there. And I'd assume that sling from what is likely the Slavs player with the strong farming eco to go on here will also have them sling the Goths player into a quick Imperial Age here. So that was not the case in Season 1 of League of Empires. Slinging was banned until Imperial Age there. The slinging player would have to be in the Imperial Age. But that has been adapted to no rules on slinging whatsoever. So that allows for some interesting strategies here to rush the Goths players' progression into the cast age and probably also Imperial Age here. We'll have that ridiculous Goth spam kicking in earlier and could be funded by Slavs sling early imp here. I'm very excited to see how this ends up. Even the stone walls here to protect the Slavs player who will be slinging here. Let's look at John and AMD's eco here. Looking very low, right? That's because he's sending over all the resources to the Goths. Castle up for the Goths. Wants to get to that Huskarl spam. Will need the castle to research the anarchy, the unique tech that will allow Huskarls to be produced from barracks. Barracks already going up as well. Wall going down. Is this a debate? What was that? So John AMD deletes the palisade probably to play stone walls here, but at the cost of letting some scouts in here. And if Yippee scouts can hit the Slavs player who has been slinging here now, that's going to impair the Goths plans very heavily here. Oh, Turks coming to the rescue to place some stone walls here to complete the walls. There's fortunately only 3 enemy scouts here, so the damage potential is limited. But that's some dead villagers for Trundo already, delaying the castle as well. Might still delay the walls with the scouts here as well. Fortunately, the Goths barracks produce a bit faster, so 3 spearmen are already out to finish this off. And hello, Magnolia. I think Magnolia likes Lithuanians better than Goths. I've seen her playing Lithuanians a lot. And for the record, I don't like Goths myself. I don't like playing them, don't like playing against them. Yeah, Lithuanians are... I like most cavalry civs, but Lithuanians are awesome when you can, especially when you can get to the relics. And their trash units as well are just so annoying to be up against. The faster running skirmishers and pikemen. But let's see here. John AMD is still slinging here. Trudeau dangerously close to that Castle Age click. No, Imperial Age, I mean. We're just 125 gold shy of that upclick, and now going heavily into gold to support that unit's spam that is to begin soon. There's the sling, and we're missing just a little bit of... Trudeau has 20 villagers, guys. It's just being completely carried by sling from the Slavs player here. Let's see how strong sling actually is here. 2 more barracks going up. Turks player extending the eco as well. Still in Feudal Age as well. Or is the Turks player slinging as well? Hold on. So are we actually seeing 2 players slinging 1 Goths player here now into a freakishly early Imperial Age here? This is the Goths fast imp sling. Both players are slinging. Oh boy. To be perfectly honest, this shouldn't work, but behind stone walls like this, then it's just going to be a long while before raiding party can break in and do something about it. Might be too late to deal with the Goth spam, but the slinging players, of course, they set themselves back by sending so many resources. Lithuanians, I mean, cavalry play won't cut it here. The Goths 120% fasting working barracks will probably stop any cavalry units here because of that rather quick spam. But let's just see here. Imperial Age, 70% for Trundo here. With the Goths, with 20 villagers. Just relying more or less completely on sling here, mining a little bit of gold, having some farming eco. But, yeah. 1 player in Imp, 2 in Feudal. Meanwhile, looking at the ecos, looks of course a lot more healthy for raiding party here. Setting up for the later game here, we have them all going to the Castle Age here. And they must be scratching their heads here, or not knowing what the heck is going on. Imperial Age is in. And now what? Second armor for the Goths here. Look at this food and gold, just receiving all these resources, thank you very much. And only defense for now, but we have 4 barracks up here. Can't say I've seen this at work on any map before with 2 players. And as soon as green hit imp, our plan changed, yeah. Elite Huskal even on the way here. Okay. The Goths player is in Imp, and on tilt is still making archers. Yeah, better stop making those archers. I think mass organ guns could be good here if the Portuguese player can get to it. We're stonewalling here to keep that aggression out. Palisades, house walls here, helping out greatly as well, obviously. But this seems like a weak point of entry for the Goths. Of course, with knights on the field, you could deal with Huskarls to some extent, but they are elite Huskarls and in Imp for now. And I'm not sure what was flared there. Probably the gold location to limit the gold situation for the Goths. Elite Huskarls on the way, as On Tilt just reached the Castle Age. Ah, there's a drop. Yeah, we'll have to restore. And yep, that's going to be a quick fix here. Is this the right one? Let's hope that's the right one. Yep, here we go. We had a restore, and we'll pick up where we left off. Right, so this is before the drop, and you can see me putting down 3 barracks. They say that you cheated. Oh, well. Losing can cause harmful comments, unfortunately. Longswords in the way, on the way here for Yipip. And yeah, Bulgarians. That's a good thing against Goths here, actually, that the Bulgarians get these swordsman line upgrades instantly. You don't need to spend time researching them. And looking at the armor here, it's on the way, right? So Yipip is dropping the barracks to prepare to defend against the Goth span. I mean, I still think that raiding party can't know that 2 players are in fact slinging, but essentially now it's Goths versus 3 here. We'll slaughter these crossbows, obviously, if Trundo sees them. And running into Lithuanian knights instead here, that's going to be bad news. But look at this. Steady trickle of Huskarls moving forward here. We realized the other 2 were feudal at like 25 minutes. Right, yeah. So then you realized Sling was going on. So Truno is playing 1 versus 3 here, will be absolutely desperate to deal some serious damage here. And meanwhile, Yipip is dropping stone walls on this side. And yeah, still house walls. This would still be a weak point to break through for Trundo. But I assume the scouting is pretty limited as well, considering that they have been relying on slinging 1 player here. Now, I like the approach, but you're still playing 1 versus 3, so even if you can support 10 more population in the Imperial Age, you're risking to be up against 300 army on your own. Of course, with 45 military now, it's still almost enough military for the Goths player to take on all the enemies here. Longswords from the Bulgarian on the way, crossbows as well. Not that crossbows will do too much. Yeah, it's strange to see feudal imp, castle between the players. If they had played it a bit more standard, they might have won. Yeah, I think it's enough to have 1 player slinging. I mean, of course, we get a very early uptime here for the Goths player, but with 2 players slinging, you're still stuck in the feudal age with no military of your own. And yeah, you just need to break through fast enough to scout for that weak point, for example, here. And if you can, and preferably drop some barracks forward as well. And we see Trundo is still 22 villagers, not investing into eco, just relying completely on the sling here. Of course, we'll be able to provide military, but then again, having all the barracks at home. You want the production closer to the enemy. You want to drop some barracks, maybe to the side for a sneak here. This side, trying to find a point of entry. And have a shorter walking distance for the military overall. Or FC into 3 TC boom, then sling. That's also an option, 1 option, but that would mean that that the whole you won't achieve this this early imp time for Goths. So I think the idea of slinging is yeah, the eco disadvantage gives them very short time window to kill. But there are some points of points to address here, that if you had the barracks all the way to the front instead, at least some of them, you have a much swifter reinforcements, and you could bring that 55 military straight into the enemy base and demolish whatever eco is exposed if you can get in. And you want to scout the sides as well to see if there's a weak point. Palisade wall would crumble to these Huskarls here, so there are some tactical choices that could help out with this kind of play, but having 2 players sling is never really a good thing anyway. It should be enough to have 1 player, for example, Slavs with their fantastic economy in the farms, to sling. Or I'd argue that Cumans with the 2 TCs could work as well. This should be a fight that Trundle could win still, though, because it's only long swordsman against Huskarls here with more attack output. So even though the long swords, I think, have more... Actually, the melee defense is the same as well. So yeah, long swords lose this. Here's the counter attack. Stone wall. Yeah, won't crumble easily to Archer's fire here, of course. Would need some help from the mounted units, but now we have 2 players still in feudal here. How do they hold off 10 Lithuanian knights with +3, already 1 relic, and crossbows to complement? You can't quick wall, you can't easily defend against this with pikes, and you'd need to have the Goths player with halberdier, and halberdier is an extremely expensive technology to get into. You need pikes first as well. So the panic's real, the town bell is called. Goths are wreaking havoc on the other side here, but that's going to we risk seeing feudal TCs go down for Frenchov and John AMD here as well if the Knights supplement keeps coming here. So archers stay in the opening here to try and keep it open. Of course, they will be slaughtered by the Huskarls here. But the forward is real. We're going to look at these villagers' numbers just diminishing here now to the knights and crossbows forward. So we're still only Huskarls in production. I mean, it's high damage output, but they are still weak to knights because knights have now 10+3 attack and they have higher HP, higher melee armor. So they will slaughter the Huskarls, unfortunately. Goth rates are doing work though, taking out 1 TC here, and market goes up for Fingolfin here to probably adjust whatever eco is in the bank here. Lots of gold right now and popcapped in the middle of everything here. But look at the KD here. Trundo certainly with a high one, but Fingolfin with 84 to 33 here. So getting so fantastic value of the 10-12 knights forward here to take out so many Goths, Huskarls. I think you don't want to fight the Huskarls though, just want to get so many villager kills as possible here. And still not looking too bad for Trundo's Tartan tribesmen here, but looking at the boom and the eco setup for the late game here for Fingolfin and on tilt, it's going to be tough to compete with that once they are able to mass armies and maybe get to the Imperial Age themselves. No more Huskarls forward for now. And here comes the defensive in the castle near the walls to limit the raiding potential from this side as well. So it could be deceiving to see Trundo with this high score, but this Imperial Age is in, and the KD is also ridiculously high here. So that's the main contributor to the score lead here for Trundo, and the 2 teammates still in the feudal age at minute 38. Whereas Trundo has not extended into any eco of their own. I think they're relying on the early kill here quite a bit, and then unfortunately not quite succeeding. Knights numbers are threatening now. Look at the relic count as well. It's 2 relics for the Lithuanian player now. That is +2 damage. And even though the Huskarls numbers are pretty ridiculous here now with almost 90, it's going to be more cost efficient for the smaller numbers of knights anyway. And I think the knights are again kind of winning here. Castle Fire obviously won't help out a lot here, but we also see on tilt on the way to the Imperial Age will be able to supply champions on organ guns here. Yeah, mainly barracks. Portuguese also get the blacksmith techs research more quickly, so they have an easier time getting into the necessary upgrades for their champions. Huskarls could fight under castles, no problem, and the KD is still on the positive side for Trundo here. 60+ military against now almost 50 on the opponent. and Yipip is probably trying to restabilize and get up to the next stage here as well. Let's look at their eco actually. Lots of gold in the bank for Yipip here. Could almost buy Imperial Age with the current eco setup. Have to grab some dinner, but thanks for the cast, man. No worries. It was a pleasure to see these kinds of plays. Well played as well. Good Arabia game. Yipip says, don't beat them though, they'll accuse you of cheating. Yeah. Well, I won't claim I've never showed bad sportsmanship after losing a game that I felt like I should have won, so... But I don't see any evidence of cheating here. We still have 2 players in the feudal age, after all, at minute 42 here. So that may be the main problem here. Goths are strong in Imperial Age, but not that strong against equally skilled players. Just look at the populations here now. It's 120 plus for both Fingolfin and On-Tilt. So even with EPIP a little bit further behind here in everything, they're in a great spot to deal with the players here. The only thing that raiding party needs to do here actually is to go raid and the 2 players still in the feudal age here and just stop the sling, and then the Goths player will have no eco whatsoever to produce more units, and right now actually isn't producing. So Trundo, pretty reliant on sling here, still has economy to produce a little bit, but has ceased production for now at 84 military. Great call by raiding party to get those stone walls and defensive measures up as well. They probably expected the infantry rush from Goths anyway, so the early walls with house walls and palisades also keep the aggression out to some extent. Now Trudeau is trying to break through the gate here. Oh, open gate. Open! It's open! And Trudeau tries to enter here, gets intercepted by knights again, and some long swordsmen from On-Tilt here. On-Tilt getting 200 swordsmen as well, and if the Portuguese player can get to champions here, then it should be looking great for raiding party here. Knights dealing with the Huskarls yet again. Military numbers ever supplied by the Goths player here. Gathering point pretty far forward, but now looking at the military numbers, Fingolfin and On-Tilt have more army total. Even Yipip is producing to help out here, and yeah, with a mix of Lithuanians knights with extra attack especially, and long swordsmen and soon to be champions probably from the Portuguese player, there's not much left that the Goths player can carry on their own here. Just note the villager count has not changed at all for Trundo here since the very beginning. I mean, with that sling you could still use some of the food to extend your own eco, drop some more farms, and just have be a little bit more self-sustained. Slinging doesn't necessarily exclude investing into your own economy, and then the Goth spam would be a bit stronger. We could be looking at maybe 150 army instead here, but yeah, elite Huskarls on their own just simply won't cut it, especially when some of the opposing players survive and are able to get to 200 swordsmen and maybe even champion soon. Let's look at On-Tilt's eco here. Yeah, has a market, so could easily buy food here and get to that champions upgrade and adjust a little bit here. Even stone for a couple of castles here could go into organ guns if necessary. Fingolfin going to Imp will have access to Cavalier and later on Paladin as well. Now looking at the gold disposition here, I mean, On-Tilt especially is floating a lot of gold. Could easily sling Fingolfin to get to Cavalier and maybe even Paladin in the Imperial Age here, if needed. Castle Age for the Turks player, now going to reach the Castle Age at just after 50 minutes here. And yes, a Knight still doing great against the Huskarls here. Now only 29 units left for Trundo here. Looks like Fingolfin received some gold here. Will be going into Cavalier once the Imperial Age is in. Could just cancel some Knights and then you have Cavalier right there. Meanwhile, Trundle is struggling for food and gold here for consistent production. And yeah, again, with two players still in the feudal age here, just try and break in somehow. Forward siege, trebs, rams, whatnot, and get some raids in to make sure that the slinging players can't sling their Goths pocket here. Look at these knights. 47 Lithuanian knights with two relics still. It's yeah, probably going to be hard to keep out here. See a little bit of extension here by the Goths, but it's still only Huskars here actually. I mean, if you put some Goths halbs into the mix, it would be tougher, because then at least the halbs would chew up the enemy cavalry. But all in all, the economy is the issue here, that the Sling will provide a limited power spike, but as the game moves on, you need a stronger multiple TC economy to sustain yourself as well. Light cab from on tilt as well. Could be looking for some raiding potential. Doubled stone walls. Goths obviously can't stone wall. This is a weak point to break through. There's only palisades and barracks over here. And now we have a mass of, yeah, roughly 100 Huskars ready to move forward again and try to get some raids in. Still, Portuguese get champion, right? There's still no champion for Portuguese. Yep. Portuguese also get cheaper champions because their units cost 20% less gold, so it's going to be easier for Portuguese to mass champions. Cavalier is now in for Fingolfin, getting that last farm upgrade, and only 200 gold short of Paladin for his numbers as well. Look at the army numbers now. Yes, it is 142 military for the Goths player, but that's almost equivalent to the whole army collected from the raiding party as well. And finally, here comes the siege to break through on the right-hand side. Fittingly so by the Bulgarians player, because Bulgarians' siege workshop techs cost 50% less. So Bulgarians could easily get into siege ram here rather quickly. For siege ram, it cost them a total of 650 gold to tech into. So that's pretty crazy, actually. Huskars are true on the left-hand side. Shouldn't be too much of a worry for raiding party here with a collected more than 100 wilds total here. Of course, on tilt we'll be losing some numbers here, but the rest of the eco is safe. One monk here wanting to bring in a relic, another relic for Fingolfin to boost the cavaliers even more. We still have feudal age for John AMD here, of course doing a great job at supplying resources to his pocket, but with only one TC, that's only going to be food mainly, and maybe some gold slung from John AMD here, and it's not really... It's I'm guessing they have one player slinging gold and one player slinging food here, because John AMD is with 88 farmers and basically only slinging food. Yeah, quite a mass of Huskars forward here. Stone walls are up, but there's a hole near the wall. Or is it? Yes, there is. So free entrance for the Huskars. It again will of course deny this castle, probably destroy it. But once the siege can go up on this side, maybe even a forward castle from one of the players here, Fingolfin almost with the stone needed to get that castle out. Maxing out on army here as well with lots of light cav in the queue. Again, looking at the gold situation, there's still much gold for on tilt to maybe pass on to Fingolfin if needed. Some cavaliers sent over here to try and deal with the elite Huskars, and let's see if the Trondos will realize that some siege push is going on the right-hand side here. They are luckily unaware of everything here. I mean, you could argue that maybe some outposts on the field would be beneficial here to see if the enemy is actually going for a push here, but that's the only thing that raiding party needs to do as well. They need to break through, raid the slinging players, and address the fact that we still have a slabs player in the feudal age at minute 58. Here comes a forward castle by Fingolfin to support even more the ram push to come from this side. Bulgarians have an easy time to get to siege rams. We have light cab in the queue for Fingolfin here. His pop cap, that's why the units aren't producing. But yeah, has some great raiding potential once they can break through. There are some champions on this side as well, could provide a distraction here if you hit these walls while breaking on this side. But we have a forward castle indeed, capped ram already in for the Bulgarians players, siege ram on the way as well, and 4 siege workshops to have the production potential here. Pascal's still forward, not doing too much for the moment. Trundle with 70 military here, and French of now with some military as well. What is that actually? Janissaries. That's a good call against the champions, actually, from the Turks players to go into Janissaries to counter the enemy champions. But here comes the siege rams and Cavalier as well. Let's see how this goes. House Wall certainly going to keep not going to keep this aggression out, and I'd assume even more siege rams could come their way as soon as the wood and gold counts allow for it. 200 swordsmen with potentially bargains as well. Look at this armor. Plus 8 melee armor for the Bulgarians 200 swordsmen here. Fully upgraded with the unique tech as well. Going to have them deal very nicely with the Huskarls if the Huskarls try and attack them. And now we have probably 50 Cavaliers, Lithuanian Cavaliers with a couple of relics raiding. The Slavs player now will be out of the game for sure. Rings the town bell, but that will only save a maximum of 15 villagers for a limited time here. So we have a collected probably 50 army or more pushing here. Again on Lombardia, yeah, here we see some semi-forward barracks. I mean, you want your production more forward as the game goes on to have your reinforcements closer and to take some map control with buildings so that the enemy can't build. Janissaries here should be easily dealt with this mass of cavaliers from the Lithuanian player. So there's the, well, we don't see any GG called here, but it is indeed he pip calls 105. That's a bit of a salty move right there, or not salty, but unfriendly move. But yeah, taunt. Let's name it a friendly taunt then. But it is going to be the second win for Raiding Party here. An innovative tactic for sure from Trondo's start and Tribesman here, but with 2 teammates staying in feudal age for all that long, sustaining the Goths player's eco, the damage has to be a lot much more on the enemy side. Good adaptation from Raiding Party as well to get into those champion line units to hold off. Very interesting stat, but should have been 1 sling only. I absolutely agree. I feel like Cumans comes to mind here. Cumans double TC in feudal age to sling, but absolutely not both. So let's look at the stats here. KD should be an interesting one. 561 units killed and a bit more lost for Trundo here, so that's cool anyway. But Fingolfin with 542 kills and 208 lost. And even with 157 largest army, you can't contest a collected population of army like this from the enemy. 52,000 food from the Slavs player, but note that they never made it past feudal age, which is also something you have to get to castle age at some point, whether it be to extend your town centers and economy or to go into military to help out. Slavs infantry would certainly be helpful in the late game here, so having them in feudal age only is not a good sign. Villager high as well, obviously collectively more than 100 more for raiding party here, and finally the army tab. Barely any villagers for Trundo, just relying on sling the whole way, and yeah, Cool strategy, but very risky having both your teammates slinging. GG well played. We'll be going to 3rd division next. I just need a quick break before doing so.